as I emerge from the vapor. Hey guys, how's it going? You've found the Chaos Vaping channel. Welcome old viewers, welcome new viewers. All are welcome here. Anyways, today I have for you a review. Actually, I have two reviews. Yeah, that's right, just like the last video. Might be a little bit on the long side, but you're getting two for one, so can't really complain there, can you? Anyways, today I'm going to talk about two rebuildable dripping atomizers, or RDAs. People have asked me what's the difference between an RBA and an RDA. As far as I know, RDAs can be considered RBAs, but not all RBAs are RDAs. So kind of like, all rectangles are rectangles, but only one type of rectangle is a square. Get what I'm saying? That's kind of how it works. So things that aren't RDAs that are RBAs would be like a K-Fun is a good example of something that is a technically it's an RTA, rebuildable tank atomizer, but again, you're talking one's a broad term and then you're getting into the tight terms. So anyways, yeah, today I've got two. They are both clones. I'm going to forewarn you about that, as of course will be in the description and the title. But anyways, they are EHpro Clones, and they're pretty good quality, I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't review them if they were a piece of junk. So I would just probably come on here and be like, hey, check this out. Don't buy it, you know? And that's not the case. You definitely want to drop the money for these because they are well worth it. So the two I am going to review today are the lovely Omega rebuildable atomizer. Yeah, super sexy little thing. And also the Atomic rebuildable atomizer. This one's a little bit on the smaller side, but man, does it pack a punch. So I guess the best way to do this would be just to bring you up close and have a good look at them. I'm not going to do any rebuilding on them. I'm not going to do any wicking on them. I have the coils set the way I like, and I'm just going to keep on that. You know, I'm going to do some coil rebuilding views later on, or, you know, demonstrations later on, and they're probably going to end up in one of these atomizers. So hang tight if you really want to see a video on how to rebuild in these atomizers, because it'll come eventually, just not during this one. So yeah, let's stop beating around the bush and let's get up close. Alright guys, thank you for joining me in the up close segment. So we're going to start off by looking at the Omega atomizer. This is very nice addy. I really enjoy using it. I can't speak towards the authentics of either of these because I don't have the authentic of either of these, but as far as build quality goes, it's very nice. Unfortunately, it does not have an adjustable center pin. I would have liked to see an adjustable center pin there, but overall it's a very nice atomizer. It's, you know, average. I think it's a 22 diameter, so it's got a pretty big chamber, but still small enough to get some good clouds out of it. So with this also came an extra drip tip, one of these long deals. I find these things so silly. I never use them. They're kind of Cruella de Vil-esque, you know, with those long, what do they call them, floozies when they're cigarettes or something weird like that. So yeah, it comes with one of those. I rarely ever use it, but it's still nice that they threw in a drip tip on top of it, considering most drip tips are like $5. But this is the one that comes on it, and that's the one I primarily use. So let's take off the top cap here and take a look under the hood. I have to strap it on a mod to get it off. So single O-ring, Probably would have liked to see a double O-ring, but it's not bad. It's a good O-ring. It really holds it on there even with juice on it, so can't complain there. It also holds it pretty firm too. The airflow on this is adjusted by just changing the size of the two holes. So if the O-ring wasn't tight enough, then it would probably end up moving all the time, and you would constantly have to check to make sure that you have it set to the right amount of airflow. But I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So here's the build deck. It is a little difficult to build on, actually, because the holes in the posts are actually below this lip or juice well, if you will. So you kind of have to bend your leads to fish them in there, which can be a little difficult, not necessarily the easiest thing, not something I would suggest for someone for their first rebuildable atomizer. I would suggest something a little bit easier, like an iGo W or something like that. But overall, it's a really, really good and fun Addy. It's got your regular Phillips head set screws, so very easy. Don't need any special tools for it. And they sit pretty far down in there, which is nice. You can almost tighten them all the way down to hold your wire or your Kanthal in place, so that's really cool. Let's talk about the airflow here. As you can see, there's a hole drill here and a hole drill here, and that is for your airflow. There is 3 holes drilled in the top cap, 1, 2, 3. So basically what you would do is you would line the hole up with a hole on the top cap, slide it in, and there you go, boom. That is wide open. So to adjust the airflow, I'm going to strap this on the mod because it makes it a little bit easier. Basically, you just take it and turn it, and I don't know, hopefully you can see that it actually, the 2 holes just scissor each other, I guess would be the best way to put it. So when you turn it, it cuts off that airflow, so you can have it like halfway open, like barely open at all for those throat, mouth to lung hits, or you can just line it straight up and have it wide open, and then you have a good straight lung hit, or a lunger as I like to call them. And the airflow is pretty wide. I gotta say that's at least a 5/16, or maybe a little bit less than that. I haven't had the chance to measure them yet, but I'm sure they're pretty big. The other thing that's nice about this is with it like that, you can build your coils up a little bit higher and actually get your airflow. I don't know if you can tell, but the airflow will come from underneath the coil and then up into the chamber, which is nice. It's kind of reminiscent of your bottom feeding tank atomizers, like the Russian and the K-Fun and that kind of thing. So it's nice. I always like the airflow coming from underneath the coil opposed to on the side. But yeah, it's a great Addy and works really, really nice. It's very simple in its design, so there isn't a whole lot more to talk about. I will mention that it does have these cool little fins on the top cap, and not only do those provide a style, but also they help with heat sink so that your drip tip doesn't get so hot, especially when you're doing those sub-ohm builds. So yeah, that's the Omega. Very good. Next up, we have the Atomic rebuildable atomizer. This one only came with the single drip tip that I have here, but it's a nice drip tip. It's very wide bore, and it matches really nice. I think it looks really good overall. I haven't ever put another drip tip on this just because of how nice it looks with it. So yeah, before we get into the build deck, let me talk some more about the top cap. Top cap has these grooves in it. At first I thought they were like a failed attempt at cooling, but then I realized it's for grip, because this whole top cap splits in half. So you have three components. You have the top of the top cap, you have the base of the top cap, and you have the airflow adjustment ring, as I like to call it. This one, just like the Omega, has 3 holes, and I didn't mention earlier why it has 3 holes. It has 3 holes for if you want to build a dual coil, or if you want to build a single coil, you can just put that one hole over wherever you have built that single coil, and then these 2 other holes are blocked. It's the same way with this airflow ring. You have 2 for duals and then 1 for a single, which is really nice. I think all adjustable airflow dripping atomizers should have that option. Even though I'm more of a dual coil fan, there are times when you just want to do a single coil, and having to plug a hole up with cotton or something like that is less than desirable. But anyways, let's show you how these parts go together. So you have your base portion, and the ring just slides directly over that. Nice and easy most of the time. And then your top portion just screws right on top of that, and when you cinch it down real tight, it locks that ring in place so it doesn't move. So if you do want to adjust your airflow, all you have to do is loosen it up the tiniest bit, and now that ring will spin freely. So as far as adjustable airflow goes, you have 3 options. You have this super wide bore right there, then you have like a middle halfway in between kind of situation, and then you have a little tiny airflow hole. So your lungers or lung hits, kind of a happy medium, and then your mouth to lung hit kind of situation. So when you put this on, you line up the holes, and there you go, wide open, middle, and tight. Also, you can do the same with this single coil version. You're wide open, and your 2 airflow holes on the sides are blocked, middle still blocked, and tiny still blocked. I'm actually pretty impressed that they managed to put all the holes in the right places to make sure that nothing didn't line up improperly. It's pretty good. They did a good job with building this atomizer. So let me screw this back on, put the drip tip back on, and then we will talk about the build deck. I just want to line these airflow holes up. Perfect. All right. So the build deck. Here it is. Another single O-ring. Not a huge fan. I would have liked to see 2 O-rings on there just for a tighter fit, and again, sometimes they can misalign, and in this situation it's not as big for airflow as it is for your coils not lining up with the airflow holes, which is not a good time. You always want to make sure that those airflow holes line directly up with the coil to get your best tasting vape. So pretty decent sized juice well on this, not massive, but pretty good. I generally don't utilize juice wells that much. I generally just drip, and when I taste the cotton going out, I open it up and drip on it again. I've had too many situations where I've flooded coils, and even though that's easy to remedy, I feel it's kind of a waste of juice. So that's the nice thing about these rebuildable atomizers. You can keep a good eye on how much juice you're using because you're dripping it on every time. Another thing, this appears to be an adjustable center pin, but it's not. I think that screw's there because it literally holds the positive post onto the atomizer. Doesn't seem like you can adjust it much at all. So kind of disappointing, but at the same time, whatever, you know, if you have a free floating center pin in your mod, it doesn't matter. So yeah, the machining's really nice. Again, we have some Allen set screws, so really easy to adjust and all that good stuff. one thing I did notice with this particular one, I don't know if the other clones do this or not, but I felt like it's worth mentioning. You can see that this post and this post are slightly discolored, and that's because of heat. I think that when I first built this, these two screws were touching. I was using a much thicker canthal, so they weren't sitting so far down into the posts. They were kind of hanging out up top and slightly touching. So I think I was getting some arcing through there, and that is not a good situation at all. Since I've switched to the nice thin ribbon wire, it hasn't really been causing as much of a problem. But again, that's something the builders could have done. They could have had smaller heads on their set screws, or set those posts wider apart, I guess. Maybe it doesn't seem like that's possible. They really crammed everything in here, which is kind of nice. It gives that reduced chamber size and that reduced chamber flavor, which is oh so nice. This is an Addy that I would suggest someone who's like first and new to building to get, because it's actually very easy to build on. Those posts are really tall and the holes are super easy to get to. There's nothing in the way, so it's a pretty easy build. I would have liked to see the holes in the posts drilled out a little bit more. They're kind of on the smaller side, but that's not a hard fix if you're good with power tools. So yeah, other than that, we can talk a little bit about the packaging and pricing. So the packaging looks like this. It's an EHpro box, flips open, and in here sat the Addy. I think the Addy was like here, or maybe it was like here. I can't quite remember. Could have even, no, I don't think it was there. That would be a stupid place to put it. But it was in there, and it came also with one of those little blue-handled mini screwdrivers. Came with some canthal, some silica, few O-rings, and that was it for this one. The other one had the drip tip that was right over here. But yeah, both came in the same box. This is actually the atomic box. But yeah, so pretty nice packaging, pretty firm. It's cardboard. It's nothing super fancy, but better than just a brown box, you know? So I think that's all we need to talk about up close. So why don't we take this up top and keep talking, and I'll show you some performance and all that good stuff. Hey guys, welcome back from the up close segment. Yeah, so awesome Addies. I cannot complain at all. The Atomic and the Omega. I had the Omega on at the beginning, and I was kind of showing you some of the performance there. So now I'll have the Atomic on, and so you can see some more of the performance of that. But they are both great Addies. When I first initially built them, I always build my Addies with a simple coil, generally around like a 5/64 drill bit, with regular like 28 gauge canthal. It's kind of my baseline. It's kind of how I compare Addies against each other, because it's going to produce generally the same kind of flavor and vapor when they're all wrapped the same. And I generally always wrap them at like 0.5 to get a baseline. So now I've rebuilt them. In this one I have a nice little 0.7 ribbon wire canthal, and in this one I actually made my own tiger wire, so I have some of that in here. Very nice. The reason I actually put tiger wire in this is because I was loving the vapor production out of this. I was, you know, just smitten by it, and I lacked some flavor. I was kind of disappointed. I figured with that bottom, with that underneath the coil airflow, I would get some really, really good flavor, but the chamber's a little bit larger than on the Atomic. So when I was using the Atomic and switching back and forth, I was like, oh, that Atomic has such good flavor. It's just, And now that I put ribbon wire on it, it's silly. It's like, oh, so tasty. So I ended up putting the tiger wire on the Omega to kind of boost the flavor up a little bit, and it worked perfectly. So I do suggest that if you do pick up the Omega, maybe pick up some ribbon wire alongside it to give you that better flavor. But overall, it's a good, tasty vape, and maybe if you didn't wrap it sub-ohm, you would get some more of that flavor. But since I'm wrapping sub-ohm, I need something to boost up that flavor. But yeah, the Atomic has that reduced chamber size. It puts out this awesome flavor and good quality vapor. So as always, my opinions are exactly that, my opinions. So I always tell people, you can't just go on what I say. Maybe check out a couple other reviews of them. I'm sure it's going to be a lot harder to find the exact EHpro clones that I found as far as reviewing videos go, but they're not too far off from the authentic, so even watching an authentic will give you a good gauge of whether or not it's a good fit for you. And with these guys, man, maybe just buy them and try them. They're not that expensive, and they're worth giving them a try. So yeah, I guess I might as well talk about that. Pricing. I've got mine from Mad Vapes. I'm a little disappointed to say that I got them from Mad Vapes, but I did. They're not the worst vendor in the world, but they're also not the best vendor in the world. So, whatever. Take it for what it is. They both ranged around the $25 area. I don't remember exactly what I paid for them. It was a while back, but they should be in that range. If it's like, anywhere above $30, don't buy it, because, you're spending too much for a clone. The authentics, they're probably going to be more, and they're that way for a reason, because, they're serial numbered, they're burp life, they are better machined, that kind of thing. But for 25 bucks, you can't really beat the vape you're getting from them. It's tasty, it's good, I'm not gonna lie, it's a good vape. So, thumbs up, thumbs down. As far as the Atomic goes, gets a thumbs up. Oh yeah, definitely gets a thumbs up. I like the wide bore drip tip. I like the airflow adjustment ring. It's easy. The way it tightens down so it doesn't move, that's ideal. That's what I like to see. And it's an easy build. It's a very easy build. I can't really say much bad about it. The only issue, like I said, I ran into was those screw heads on the set screws on the inside. They touched and arced, so you got to be careful with that. Watch out for that. Make sure there's a good gap between those set screws, so you're not draining unnecessary voltage. Basically, it's not going to do anything to help you produce any more vapor. It's just going to rob some battery life. So watch out for that. Also, it causes the Addy to get really hot, and nobody likes a overly warm Addy. So let me strap the Omega on here, and we'll give you the thumbs up, thumbs down on the Omega. Kind of torn. I kind of want to give it a middle grade, like a meh, but I do also kind of want to give it a thumbs up. Like, the only reason that I'm even questioning giving it a thumbs up is because of the build deck. It has these big, huge sidewalls, so you think it's got this massively big juice well, but with those holes drilled in the side, you really can't fill it up, because if you fill it up, it's just going to leak. So that's kind of disappointing. Also, the airflow adjustment. I mean, I generally run the thing wide open all the time anyways, so it doesn't matter hugely to me, but the fact that your only adjustment is just those two holes is a little disappointing. You're not getting like an exact amount. So if there's multiple holes drilled like the Atomic, then you can set it to those holes specifically, and then okay, this is a 1/16 size airflow hole. This is the amount of air I should be expecting coming from the Addy. With this, it's a tune to flavor kind of situation. So it can be a pro, or it can be a con, but it can also be a pro. Some people like adjusting to taste. So if you're that kind of person, maybe this appeals to you more. The other big issue I had was how low the holes are drilled in the posts. They could have made the posts a little bit taller and put those holes above the wall on the build deck, and then it would be a little bit easier to build on. But it's also not the most difficult one I've ever had to build on either. The holes are pretty wide on those posts, so you can fit some pretty large Kanthal through there, even on a dual coil setup where you have to feed both the wires into that center post. The other issue too was the holes in the center posts weren't perfectly parallel with each other. A couple of them are off kilter, so it makes putting those pieces of Kanthal in there that much more difficult. They could have done a little better of a job making sure that those holes were all straight on. This may be a clone issue. This may not be an issue in the authentic. It may be why you're paying more for the authentic. They didn't prevent me from being able to build good coils, so I can't say that that's like, a deal breaker. It's not. But it's, we can nitpick. That's what reviewers are supposed to do. They're supposed to nitpick. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's everything, guys. It's they're both great vapes. They're both within a reasonable price. They can be picked up at Mad Vapes and many other vendors. I'll post a link below. But yeah, guys. I do enjoy shooting these videos for you guys, so feel free to give me some feedback on how I can make it better for you. The comment section below is always open, and I try to respond to it as promptly as possible. You can also private message me, I don't mind. But yeah, subscribe, like the videos, maybe show your friends. Everyone can learn from each other, so that's what I'm trying to push here. But as I always like to end them, may your wicks be moist, may your tanks be full, and may your hearts be warm. Later, guys and gals. I just love these little big things. Making funny faces, it's great.